Hi everyone, Shade here with my Endgame Shadowmancer build. I've leveled this build up to 96 and I think I finally got everything put together. I'll go over the skills, stats, equipment, Paragon, and some tips for Nightmare Dungeons. If you don't want to wait, you can check out the full build on d4builds.gg by following the link in the description box below. I also want to remind you that I'm streaming most nights on Twitch and you can also find that link below. Come hang out with me. Also, don't forget to do the YouTube jazz of liking, commenting, and subscribing. Now, let's get into the build. I take Reap for my basic attack. This is a great skill. It creates a corpse every 4 seconds when you take Acolyte's Reap. And this is a great way to generate corpses when you're having a little drought. If Hued Flesh doesn't produce enough corpses or things aren't dying yet, you can automatically create a corpse when you start a fight. It's great. Try to get into the habit of using it every 4 seconds because having that extra corpse just means it's more damage for you because it's a corpse you can explode or even use corpse tendrils on. For my core skill, I choose Blight. I like Blight because it has a high lucky hit chance. It does some pretty good damage. And it also slows. And then with Supernatural, it also ups my damage by 15%. You can take Sever if you want to. They just buffed it in the last patch. It's good. A lot of people are using it. I just prefer Blight. It's something that I like. And there's also an aspect with Blight that you can actually pull enemies in. So it can be another form of CC if you want to get that on, say, your boots. You can get that too. Hued Flesh is a passive I choose here. This is the lucky hit chance to create a corpse. It's a 12% chance on a lucky hit. Well, we're hitting all the time. Anything standing in a pool will be hit multiple times by multiple things, and we should be proccing corpses quite regularly. So this drives a lot of the damage. So get this, it's a great skill. Corpse Explosion is the skill that we use. It's our main driver of damage, and we take the Blighted Corpse Explosion, which creates the shadow dot pools. What we do is we explode a corpse, and then you can start exploding multiple corpses, and that damage stacks together and gets higher and higher. I've seen procs of, or ticks of 500k damage, which is really, really good. I would max this skill out as when you can, just to do as much damage as possible. And while we're consuming corpses, Grim Harvest will keep our essence topped off, and then Fueled by Death will also increase our damage, which is really, really good for the build. I take Blood Mist as well. This is my only defensive on here. It makes me immune for 3 seconds, and then it creates a corpse every 1 second with Ghastly Blood Mist. This is a great thing to get out of, say, frozen enemies or knock poison sacks off. If you have a bunch of them on you, you can totally negate them. It's a really great skill. It's up like every 20 seconds or so, so it's really good. Use it, enjoy it. The next skill I choose is Corpse Tendrils. This is a great CC ability. It pulls in enemies, it stuns them, deals damage, and then with Plague Corpse Tendrils, you get vulnerability for 3 seconds, which ups the damage of all your dots and everything for 3 seconds, which is great. Use it. I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think dot damage is snapshotted. So anytime you can explode corpses with Corpse Tendrils, it should be stack damage for quite a while. I'm not 100% sure if that's what happens, because once you start exploding a bunch of corpses, it just does stacking damage, and it's hard to tell each individual instance of damage because they kind of blend into one number. I take Necrotic Carapace here. Anytime you form a corpse, you get a little bit of Fortify until you become fully fortified. It's really good. We're always creating corpses, so we get fortified quite often. And it's a great little damage reduction for you to kind of make you a little bit tankier. So get that. This is kind of optional if you want it or don't, but I feel like it makes me tankier, so I use it. But you can put these points anywhere if you want to. You can even put them in Corpse Tendril, because the more points you put in here, the shorter the cooldown, which is actually pretty good because that means more chances of having vulnerable up. Now for the shadow passives, Reaper's Pursuit gives us extra movement speed when we damage with darkness skills. This is one of the weaknesses of Necro, is we're not very fast, so any chance we can get movement speed is great. Gloom adds extra damage to enemies who take damage from darkness skills. Every skill we have is darkness, so this is up all the time. And Terror, darkness skills deal 9% more damage to enemies that are slowed and 9% damage to enemies that are stunned or immobilized. We do all of that, so it's 18% more damage across the board. It's really, really good. And then Crippling Darkness is a lucky hit chance to stun. That's really great too. For ultimate skills, I take Bone Storm. With the ultimate shadow aspect, it becomes a darkness skill, so it gets buffed by everything in this build. So that's really, really good. I tried Blood Wave, but I think Bone Storm's great because of the fact that you can get damage reduction while it's active, which is great. And then the critical strike chance is even better because it buffs that damage, which is amazing. It's just a great skill across the board, and it's one that I prefer. The passives here that we take are Standalone and Memento Mori because we are minionless, so that just gives us more defense and better sacrifice bonus damage. Not damage, but bonus buffs. And the key passive I choose is Shadow Blight. This is a great skill. Every 10th time an enemy takes shadow damage from me, they get a proc for damage, and that damage can crit, and it's affected by every other bonus that we have. It's really great. It procs all the time. I mean, you literally see it all the time. This is my Paragon board. I am 96, almost 97. It's not completely filled out, but I filled out all the important pieces. I'm just kind of picking up little odds and ends here and there, but this is basically how I want to get it. I start off by going up and grabbing Prime. That's a damage boost and a life boost. It's great. Grab it. Then I go, and this is a new glyph. This is Exploit. It ups our vulnerable damage. Vulnerable damage does affect dots, so it's upping our dot damage. Get that. There's a lot of dex nodes here, so I thought it was a perfect place for it. And this also allows us to do up to 10% more damage when we deal damage to vulnerable enemies for about 6 seconds. So it's up every like 15 seconds or so, depending on how often you corpse tendril. So it's good. Get it. The first board that we get is Wither. Wither, your shadow damage over time effects have a 5% chance to deal 50% bonus damage each time they deal damage. This is increased by 1%, and bonus damage is increased by 2.5% for each 50 willpower you have. A few of our good glyphs here are powered by willpower, so this is a good pickup because we are going to be going heavily into willpower. Then I come up here and I grab the Lingering Shadows node. This is just extra shadow damage over time. It makes our dots hit harder, and then shadow damage makes every shadow skill hit harder, so grab that. I grab Gnawing Darkness as well. That's 20% more damage to enemies that are affected by shadow damage over time, which is every enemy usually. And then 16% damage to elites. It's really good as well. The glyph here that I get is Territorial. I just get enough dexterity to get the secondary on here, which is the 10% damage reduction. This does damage to close enemies. There's better sources of damage on here. So I just kind of put this here to get whatever I could. I do pick up the shadow damage node here. It's really good. And then I've grabbed the shadow resistance. I know resistances are messed up right now, but it was 10 more intelligence, and it was just like 1 extra point. So I figured, why not? I also picked up Dragging Shadows, which is an 8% damage reduction from enemies that are affected by shadow damage over time. It's more damage reduction for us from things that are taking damage from us, so every little bit counts. So this is pretty good. Plus you can get some of these. I'll probably come up and get that one too, so I'll have about 14-15% more damage. The next board after that I grab is Flesh Eater. Consuming 5 corpses grants 40% increased damage for 6 seconds. This is, you consume 5 corpses, you get the buff falls off, and then you have to get 5 more corpses. You can't get 5 corpses, the buff is on, then do a corpse, and just kind of extend it. It has to finish before you can start stacking for the next one. I come down here and I grab the 50% damage to injured enemies and the extra critical strike damage. The injured enemies is great because it just allows us to kill things faster. Come across here and I come up here, and this is where I put Control. This glyph spot is amazing. As you can tell, 75 intelligence. There are like 13 intelligence nodes here. So it's giving me almost 150% extra damage to crowd controlled enemies. It's really great. I grab both rare nodes because they do give you intelligence. So that's elite damage, which is great. We need that. And then resistance to all elements. You know, when they fix it, resistances, this might become really great. But it's also 10 intelligence, which just buffs your damage. And then I went and I grabbed every single intelligence node that I could. And I also grabbed some of the dexterity nodes to kind of hit the next tier of dexterity for this, so I could double the damage to elites. That's what put me over 360 for that. After that board, I went up here and I added the Scent of Death board. And in there, I put, for the glyph, I put Scourge. This is probably one of our best glyphs on here. This increases our shadow damage over time, which is our main damage dealer. There are 11 willpower nodes in here. You get them all. It's really, really great. It just ups your damage. And then it also allows us to do more damage to enemies that are affected by our shadow damage. So it's perfect. I grabbed this node too because it's more damage to injured enemies, faster time to kill them. Then I did come up here and grab Scent of Death. This one's pretty good. If there are no corpses nearby, you deal 15% increased damage. If there are 2 or more corpses nearby, you get damage reduction. It's a really, really good node, and it only costs 5 to get there, so I figured why not. After that, I went and I grabbed this. This is the Blood Begets Blood. I'm not going to get the legendary node. I'm not creating any blood orbs. Maybe later on in the build will, but I think I might actually just go for some of these rare nodes. I got this mainly for the glyph spot. I put Darkness in here, which is just like Scourge. It's the increase the shadow damage. There are 11 willpower nodes on this one as well, so get them all. And the secondary on here is whenever you or your minions deal shadow damage, they do reduce damage up to 10%, so they're dealing less damage to you as your damage ramps up, which it ramps up all the time. So it's a good defensive to have too. For my helm, what you want to look out for is cooldown reduction, because we want to try to get corpse tendrils as fast as possible. So we want cooldown reduction. Max life is really good. And the aspect that we want to use here is Shielding Storm. This adds a barrier to your Bone Storm, so anytime it damages an enemy, you get a barrier for up to 5% of your life. It's awesome. It allows you to stand in the middle of a pack of elites and not even lose any hit points. So it's great to have. So get that, and I blow it on every elite pack, and then if there's like a bunch of enemies around me sometimes and it's up, I'll blow it too. But get that. On my chest, I've got Disobedience. This is a stacking armor gain. It gives you 0.5%. That stacks up to 50%. Extra armor whenever you deal damage. We deal damage all the time. This should be at 100% all the time. Get it. This has pretty much what you want on it. You want all forms of damage reduction. So damage reduction from close, distant, and then I have general damage reduction. Getting like damage reduction from enemies damaged by shadow over time spells can be really good. I have total armor on here, but this is pretty close to perfect. So you want to kind of get this. This is the one unique that I personally think is important for this build. It's Howl from Below. It gives you lucky hit chance, but the aspect on here is great because it creates a volatile skeleton that will run up after an enemy and then explode for a increased amount. So basically you can move on to the next pack and pull corpses from the last pack to kind of help start things off. It's really great. It's the one, like I said, one unique I think is really, really important for this build. I don't think you want to try this build without it. For legs, I use Protector, and you want the same stats that are on your chest, on your legs. So you want all 3 forms of damage reduction, maybe max hit points, maybe a 4th damage reduction. You want as much damage reduction as possible. That's the best bang for your buck when it comes to defenses. And on this one, I chose Protector. So when I damage an elite, I get a barrier after Shielding Storm goes down, or if you're in between Shielding Storm cooldowns, this just gives you an extra barrier to kind of be able to take some hits. It's a second set of hit points for you, so it's great. I use Penitent Greaves. I actually have another thing here. This is of the void, so it's the void aspect where blight pulls you in. It also has corpse tendril ranks on here, which decreases the cooldown of corpse tendrils, which is really good, and it's got movement speed, which is great, and it has dodge chance, so this is a pretty good one to have. I just choose Penitent Greaves because I'm only doing Nightmare tier 50s, and so I don't need a lot of that stuff. And the chill actually procs your control all the time, so I find I'm doing more damage. When I do that, I have to kind of throw out blights a lot, and it drains my essence, which directly affects this skill. This is a brand new aspect that I figured out is actually really, really great. It's Edge Masters, and skills deal up to 20% increased damage based on your available primary resource. So you get the maximum benefit when your resource is full. Corpse Explosion does not take essence. So you get the full benefit when your essence is full, which is why I don't want to cast Blight all the time. You get the full benefit, and I have a perfectly rolled one that I'm just waiting for a perfectly rolled two-hander to get up to 40%. But this is one that's pretty close. I have damage to close, damage over time, damage to slowed, and vulnerable damage. The vulnerable damage is really important on this because it's one of the only places that we can get vulnerable damage in this build. So, and because it's a two-hander, it's going to be even higher. So you want to look for it. And it's pretty well rolled. This is the highest item power I've seen outside of like some of the super uber uniques. But this is great all around. Plus it's a scythe, so it gives you life on kill. And we're killing stuff all the time, so it keeps you topped off life-wise too. And I slot it with damage over time. Armor is slotted with damage reduction while control impaired, because that is one of the weaknesses of Necro. We get controlled a lot. But anyway, Edge Masters is great. Put it on a two-hander, and my damage ramped up when I added this, so add it. On the amulet, I choose Blighted, which is you deal increased damage for 6 seconds after the Shadow Blight passive damages enemies 10 times. This is up all the time. And you can get some crazy damage numbers. I have a max one sitting in my stash. I'm just waiting for a better rolled amulet. You want like damage over time, shadow damage over time, corpse skills, damage reduction. You can get on here. I think you can get CDR. So there are certain skills that you want. It's all in the build link below. The ones that I think are really, really good. And I'm slotting with skulls right now just because resists are just kind of porked until season 2. So skulls are your best bet here. For one of my rings, I have Decay. This each time Shadow Blight deals damage, it increases the next Shadow Blight by a set amount of damage, and it stacks 5 times. And this stacks and just stays up all the time. It's great because you're always dealing Shadow Blight damage. For this, you want to get vulnerable damage, shadow damage, damage over time, and lucky hit for both rings. So I don't have a perfectly rolled ring yet, but it's pretty good. It's pretty close. I've been trying to get one. And then on the last one, I have the Loop of Ultimate Shadow. This turns Bone Storm into a darkness skill, which allows it to then dip from all your darkness damage buffs. And that's my equipment. I do know that in later Nightmare tiers, when damage becomes untenable, I'm thinking I'm probably going to want to have a one-hand and an offhand shield. I've been starting to kind of look, because shields can actually drop with on lucky hit. You can heal. I don't know what the cooldown is on that skill because I don't have one, but that gives you extra defensives, plus you get another defensive aspect where you can probably pull and use the might, which on a basic attack you take 20% less damage. It's probably what I would put on there. And then I would probably roll with a wand because they have implicit lucky hit chance, so it just allows you to create more corpses. The only problem is, if you see that red number, is it does vastly less damage, but I think it allows me to stay alive longer. so the payoff might be good. But I haven't decided yet. I haven't tested it. I haven't gotten anything really good for like the upper 60s yet. I keep getting cold enhanced, so I just trash those automatically. But anyway, that kind of does lead me into Nightmare Dungeons. I just want to roll through the best potions I think for this build. Any of the slaying ones are really good because it ups your damage by 20%. Those are really amazing. Combat Fortune is great because it ups your lucky hit chance by 30%. So it's awesome because lucky hit drives our corpse generation. Iron Skin, extra armor is really, really good. The Curative gives you unstoppable for 1 second, and then you get increased resistance to poison. That helps out a lot. And then there's another one that raises the Fortitude, raises your life by 30%. Those are all really good potions to have when you're running Nightmare Dungeons. All in all, I'm happy with where the build is. I think it's pretty strong, and it can take you from 50 to 100 pretty easily with little downtime. Compared to the meta Bone Spear build, though, it doesn't do the instant damage, but I think it's tankier, and if you give it enough time, it will do some comparable damage. As I said, I've done upwards of 500k damage a tick, so the damage is there. It just takes a while to ramp up. I'm unsure of what it can do at higher Nightmare tiers, as I've only gone to a max of 52, but from what I've seen, the damage just becomes untenable if you're standing toe-to-toe with enemies. A lot of times you want to be distanced from them, and that's where this build doesn't shine too much, because you have to get corpses going and you have to ensure that they stay there. But if you want to take something that gets you from 50 to 100 with ease, take a look at this build. As a reminder, play the game you want. This was the build that I kind of fell into, and it's the one that I actually am having a lot of fun on. I was trying a Bone Spear build, but I didn't really enjoy it. But this one has been a lot of fun for me. I'm looking to probably take this into Season 1, and I will probably have an updated build based on the new uniques or legendaries if there's anything that affects the Shadow build. But I just want to remind you that I do stream on Twitch. The link is down below, and I'd love to chat with you about this. So thanks for watching, and I will catch you next time. Bye.